The 997 GT3RS is revered as one of the best driver's cars of all time. But there's one major problem. Most of you guys can't afford it. Heck, at current prices, I can't even afford it. But there are a few cars out there that I think can offer a similar experience for a fraction of the price. These aren't them. So on this series, we're gonna spend $50,000 to buy and build a car to try to take down the GT3RS. But first, we need to identify what cars are best suited to take on this challenge. So on today's episode, we're gonna go through all of our options to see what is the best starting point. And then we're gonna make a purchase. So first we gotta map out the competition. This is a 2010 Porsche GT3RS, and it is the best sports car from its generation, the era that we call the driver's era. It's before cars got packed with technology and kinda took away from the fun. But the biggest problem with this thing is it just costs too much. Here are the hard facts. 450 horsepower, 6-speed manual, 8,400 RPM, 3,150 pounds, naturally aspirated. And here's all the other opinions on it that I believe in, and they're right. These are the things that aren't exactly data points, but I think that they're pretty factual. Number one, it's beautiful to look at. I also think it sounds amazing. It has incredible steering feel, shifter feel, a heavy clutch, and an assertive throttle pedal. It's all the stuff that makes cars incredibly fun to drive. It's really hard to quantify in numbers, but you know it when you drive it. It's the emotion that makes you love a car. All right, and then for the first time ever, we are gonna be giving this car to one of you guys. That's right, we're gonna buy the greatest car from the driver's era, the brand that we run that celebrates the cars from the era where there's everything you need but nothing you don't. So I figured, what better way to celebrate that than to buy a car, modify it, and then give it to one of you guys. So on Christmas morning, I'm gonna call one of you guys and surprise you with a fully built car, a wad of cash, and maybe even a little trip to California for a track or canyon day with the boys. So all you gotta do is go to driversera.com, grab some new product or some old and limited stuff, and every dollar you spend gets you a chance to win. Now, let's go buy a car. Now, I know no car that's within our budget is gonna check all the boxes stock. So that's why we're gonna have to build it. But I've made a list that we're gonna go check out, and we're gonna see exactly which one we should start with. So I built a very complex mathematical equation to help us figure out exactly what we need. So fun is high revving plus the square root of lightweight and cool sounding divided by reliability plus aftermarket support times manual and analog to the square root of must have air conditioning that works and divided by being cool at cars and coffee. I don't even know if this is what math actually looks like, but you know, that's good. So of course, we gotta pick out, look at this, we really upgraded from the old whiteboard. We've gotta pick out a car from every DM that I think has a car that could fit into the category. Euro, JDM, and USDM. Here's what we're going with. For Euro, there are a lot of different cars we could pick from, but I'm going with the M3. And the M3's got a lot of cars we could pick from, but before I tell you which one, I'm gonna tell you which one I ain't. First up, the F80 M3 is probably a car that can beat the GT3RS, but it doesn't meet a couple of criteria. The S55 is known as one of the worst sounding engines of all time. When I bought my F80 M3, Amy asked if it was modded and if I could put it back to stock, and it was stock. Anyways, the sound and the fact that it is a twin turbo 6-cylinder doesn't have the same spirit as the GT3RS and what we're chasing. So the M4, M3 of the F80 generation is out. And then starting at the back of the pack, the E30 M3 is just too expensive and would never compete with this car for any sort of reasonable budget. E36, while the most affordable, would be the slowest by far, so it's out. So there's only 2 generations left of the M3 that we could afford in this whole thing, because remember, car and parts. I'm going with the E92. And here's why I didn't pick the E46, this budget. Because I think with the E46, I know with the E46, we're gonna blow a big portion of that on maintenance. Because they have really big and expensive issues. Vanos, rod bearings, subframe, valve adjustments. All of this stuff ends up being super, super expensive, and maintenance is pretty boring. If you end up buying an E46 with all of those done, it's gonna be a high price, and it's harder to get power out of those. So E92 M3, I think, is an amazing car to start with, but rather than listening to me talk about it in front of a whiteboard, let's go check out a car. The GTI is back in California, and yes, it still has the dumbest seatbelt situation ever. All right, let's go to our first option. Luckily, our neighbors right here at SDC happen to have the perfect car for us to go check out. So if you guys have watched any of our track content, you know we always go to the track with SoCal Drivers Club, and they just so happen to open a HQ here right next door to us, where they've got sim racing and all sorts of other stuff. And I'm sure Charles has nothing better to do today than be on YouTube, so let's go grab him.
Yo.
Hello.
What up? Oh, solid.
Gonna be a good app, boys.
That's like top 3 probably all time.
So Charles here has a couple of cars, including a whole lineup of M3s from E36, E46, E90, and F82 that they run as rental cars at SDC, but he's got a perfect personal E92 M3 that we gotta go check out.
Yes, I do.
So the E92 M3 hits a lot of the boxes. 400 horsepower stock, 8,500 RPM, 6-speed manual, and it weighs in right around 3,350 pounds. Charles has an amazing setup here, so let's hear more about it.
So this is my 2012 E92 M3. It's actually my 3rd E92. It's stripper spec. Obviously, we got the carbon roof, slick top, single hump, so no nav, 6-speed, and then this one has speed cloth interior, so really
the lightest spec. So
lightest spec.
With the BMW guys, they love like stripper spec cars. It means it came with pretty much no options, which now you pay more for.
Yeah, less, but costs more.
Yeah, I don't get it. But it makes it more of a driver's car because they can make these cars quite heavy with a sunroof, a 7-speed dual clutch transmission, navigation and iDrive, power and heated seats, and a whole bunch of other options. So this car effectively came with nothing, which is like top tier now.
Yeah, took me a while to find.
Yeah, dude, they're hard to come across. So what do you have done to it?
First thing with all of my cars, it's suspension. Like I want it to drive and feel right, and also lowered, make it look right. Especially this is kind of like a daily driver. I don't track it. I'll take it to the canyons. I'll just drive it around for fun. So we did Nitron R1 suspension, Titan 7 wheels with the Michelin Cup 2 tires.
And the good thing about the E92 M3 is they come with wider front fenders and rear fenders. So 275/35 on the front, which is like a ton of grip.
Yep. And I prefer a square setup, so I have 275s in the rear also. But you can put wider tires in the back.
And then you got, what is that, Brembo GT?
Brembo Pista brakes, front and rear.
What about power-wise?
Power-wise, I talked to my good friend Alex, your good friend Alex at Sub 2 Speedhouse, and we went with his kind of like enthusiast spec kit for this car since I'm not tracking it. So we have a tune, intake, pulleys, X-pipe, and exhaust. So that's what we did for power, and that's plenty for this car. That's all this car needs.
Hell yeah. And inside, super nice, really chill. What'd you do in here?
Inside, I wanted to keep it simple. We have the Sparco Performance QRT seats in leather, which really fit car here. They're also carbon back, so they got carbon in the back there, so a little bit lightweight, and you know, for the cars and coffee.
Yeah, you gotta have the little flex.
But otherwise, that's it. M Performance steering wheel, and that's all we've done in the interior. We kept it very, very simple.
And I love the E92 M3 interior because it feels kind of right of that era before it started getting like big screens and stuff, you know. And the single hump, why people really like it, not only is it lightweight, but also technology is the first thing that dates. So having no navigation on the dash actually kind of keeps the car looking more classic than dated. I want to take it out on the road and try to rekindle some feelings about what the E92 is.
Let's go.
E92 M3. I used to own one of these cars, so I'm pretty familiar with it, but it's been a long time since I've driven a nicely set up E92, so excited to get this thing out on the road. Oh man, I forgot how good these things sound. I love these cars. It's definitely the time where BMW started making the cars a little bit too plush out of the factory. The clutch is really light, the gear shift is pretty light, the steering is pretty light. Like it's all meant to be really fun and easy on the street. It's more of like a touring car, even though it is technically a sports car. So I like the fact that it's tightened up a bit. The buckets, the sound, the suspension, everything sort of brings out the personality of the car a bit more. Exhaust sounds rowdy, which is awesome. The 4-liter V8, super cool, high revving. And the great part is it has individual throttle body. You not only get this incredible exhaust note, but you also get nice intake noise too. Great throttle response. And just like ergonomically, I always think German cars really fit like bigger people better. No sunroof, gives you a bit more headroom. It just really feels like a nice, comfortable car to be in. The S65 doesn't have a lot of torque. It kind of makes you want to wring the car out more and rev it high. It has an 8,500 RPM redline, and because the lack of torque, you really want to be up there, which makes the car a bit more fun to drive. It adds a lot more drama. Well, let's talk about the drawbacks of the E92 M3. I think people created a bad stigma around BMW and M cars because they all have sort of an Achilles heel of reliability problems. But I think they almost nailed it when it comes to the E92 M3. So it really only has two major maintenance items. One is the rod bearing. This is a huge one, as if they go bad, you can destroy your engine, and these are not cheap. The second is throttle actuators. These aren't cheap. They're about 800 to 1,000 bucks, but you can DIY these. They're simple. It's a couple hour change in your garage, no big deal. So I don't really worry about that. But unlike the E46, this chassis is not plagued with issues. You don't have subframes that tear out and strut towers that crack like in the 36. For that, I think that this car is a lot easier to sort into a track car than the previous generation. And I am really a big F80 M3 fan, but I just think that the S55 lacks the emotion. It lacks this. You know, the S55 is so much faster, but the S65, the V8, is really just like what sets this car apart. It's hard to beat. It's hard to beat this. All right, so in the next category, we've got JDM, and there's a lot of cars here to pick from. GR86, BRZ FRS, I always forget which one's the Subaru one. They're the same car. I think that that's one of the greatest brand new driver's cars you can get within a budget. But for the budget we're going after, I don't think $50,000 will get us anywhere near close to this. Then my brain went to Evos and STIs. These cars are made to ball out on a budget in terms of performance, but they don't feel like sports cars because they're not. I love Evos. They're like one of my favorite cars ever, but the fact is they're not gonna feel special like a GT3 because that's like a homologation car, which is a garbage Lancer built into a really sick car. So it just doesn't fit the criteria. Then we have all of the Halo 90s hero cars, but none of those are gonna fit into the budget. So what I'm going with, one of the best cars of all time for the price, S2000. And before we go any further, I gotta say, I stole all these images and this one from a YouTube channel called Draw Mini Cars, and they're really cool. So big shout out to you. Sorry for stealing your stuff, but I hope that this plug makes up for it. Let's go check one out. Just so happens our friend Charles not only has the perfect E92 M3, but he also just acquired this absolutely beautiful AP2 S2000. We're back again. Oh, with another one!
Better and better.
It's 240 horsepower, 8,000 RPM, 6-speed manual, and it weighs in right around 2,800 pounds, which is a big advantage from the E92 M3 with about half the horsepower though. Yep. So these are incredible cars. I know that these cars have a ton of potential once you put some mods after them.
So this is my new to me AP2 S2000 that I got from our good friend, Chris Marion. Thank you, Chris.
Which Chris usually does a really good job setting up his car, so I know this thing's got some sauce.
It does. That's why it appealed to me, because it had everything that I would have been doing to a stock S2000 anyways. You know, we got the KW Club Sports, Volk TE37s in mag blue, which I think hit really good on the Suzuka blue.
You know I like the blue on blue, so this is a whole different take on it. I love it.
And then inside, spoon seat, Momo steering wheel, just for the driver, just to get that right feel in the car there.
Does this have any performance mods?
No, completely stock.
Stock.
Engine stock.
Ooh.
But that's the thing on the S2000, it takes a lot to get any amount of horsepower with this car because Honda really put everything into this, 2.2 liter 4-cylinder.
That's a really good take because I know on the E92 M3, you could take it from 400 brake horsepower to 400 wheel horsepower with simple bolt-ons. But I guess on the S2000, you're not really making a ton of gains.
You're not. It's a lot more difficult to do that on this engine.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Well, I think inside is kind of where the S2000 probably loses right off the bat. I think it's a really cool cockpit with a lot of really awesome features about it, but it's quite small.
And it's quite simple in here.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Yeah. I mean, S2000 gauge cluster is iconic. One of the coolest gauge clusters ever put in a car.
Nobody was doing this back in 2001, 2002.
Yeah.
This changed everything with the digital gauge.
And what I love about the S2000 is it is the most driver-centric car you can get. I mean, literally, we talk about the E92 M3 not having iDrive and things that you have to eliminate. The S2000 came with none of that. Every single S2000 you can buy is exactly the same spec inside except for color. They didn't add any fluff.
Nope, everything you need, nothing you don't. This is a true driver's car.
Hell yeah, dude, I'm so excited to drive this thing.
Dude,
let's go.
It's awesome, let's do it.
With the bucket seat, I actually do have an insane amount of headroom. Almost 4-finger gap worth of headroom here, which is huge. Which compared to the stock seat, I have about none. Pretty much that between my head and the soft top. The cockpit in this car feels awesome. It feels so business focused. Like it's only meant to feel good driving. I know that the S2000 has all the right feelings. It is a driver's car. It was the budget sports car of the early 2000s. And it remains a track day favorite for everyone, at least in Southern California. So the big positives on the S2000 is the gearbox feels great. The throttle's super sharp. The clutch feels really assertive. The steering is razor sharp. I love the way the F22 feels, although the S2000 people, let's cut all the bullshit here. You guys like to rant and rave about the AP2 having more torque, but it has no torque, which is fine because I love revving cars out. Every car nowadays has tons of torque. So having a car that has a high RPM and something that makes you drive it like you're riding a 2-stroke dirt bike is really the feeling that I'm looking for. So I don't really care, but let's stop pretending the AP2 has more torque. But it feels good. This car is mechanically 100% stock, so power-wise, it's a little lackluster. I mean, around town, like 4,000 RPM, third gear, it's not very exciting. I think that this car could wake up with a couple of little mods, but also a re-gear to make the gearing shorter. This way it'll add more drama as you row through the gears. But I love the shifter. I love how easy it is to match rev downshift. And the shifts feel awesome. The VTEC feels so good. Honestly, it's one of those cars that does reward you for driving it harder. You sort of feel like it's a very underwhelming car until you get higher in the RPMs. And then it's awesome. Chassis feels awesome. The thing has great steering feel. It has a lot of feeling through the seat into what the car wants to do. This is gonna make my decision very hard because initially the S2000 was pretty low on the want list. This is pretty awesome. But let's talk about some of the downsides. I don't love the clutch. It's light, it grabs high. It's not just this car, it's all S2000s. It's always been something I sort of griped with. The lack of torque isn't a huge deal for me, but I do think it lacks a little bit of the around town fun. And then lastly, for me, it's really just the size. I don't think that it would be annoying to drive this. I just wonder if over time, I think I would want a bit of a bigger car to be in, but right now, I'm pretty comfortable in this thing. So I would actually say the size is kind of not even a downside right now. I'd really have to live with it to learn. All right, we're back again, and we got one last category to go through. Good old US of A. Slim pickings. Slim Republicans. Mostly because these cars are all really heavy. And selfishly, there's a car I've always wanted and I've never owned. It's an 0304 Cobra, the Terminator, one of the coolest cars ever. We're not doing drag racing here, and I don't think that those are gonna fit into the budget here to make them actually handle well. What else is left? We got Camaros and Mustangs, that's it. So it really leaves us with Corvettes. But the C5 sucks. C6, on the other hand, you can spend a lot more money on, but you get a lot more car. And for that reason, I'm going with C6 Vet. You got 400 horsepower, 240 horsepower, and 505 horsepower with the Z06, and still a pretty light curb weight. You gotta think, this car, we're gonna spend close to $40,000 for a good car, which would only leave us 10 grand to do a lot of suspension and brake upgrades, which get expensive pretty quick. So we'd really have to go hunting for a Z06 to find one within the budget. And the one thing, no American car fit into this. No high revving. No high revving. So it's getting points deducted. But I've never owned a C6 Z06 before, and I've always really wanted one, so I think this would be a perfect excuse to get one. I just drove Zach's a bunch, so I have a lot of good input into the car. And because Zach's not in town, we're not gonna go visit him and drive that car. We're gonna reuse some clips, but here's my overall thought. Tons of power, tons of torque, decent steering feel, lots of aftermarket, but the motor feels a bit soulless. Something about that not having the high RPM doesn't make it feel as playful. It just feels brute and strong and doesn't really have the same feeling as the GT3. Package-wise, I think it is an incredible car for the money. So now we have to go buy a car. And I have a lot of thinking to do. And if you know me, you know the thing is that we're gonna buy the best deal we can find. But we need to find the right car for the right price, which will allow us to buy the right modifications to beat the GT3. What the heck? All right, guys, we're back. I have been hunting for cars because you know me, I'm pretty friggin' particular, and I want to get the most I can get out of my money, meaning the nicest car for the cheapest deal possible. It's no easy task. And remember, this whole goal here is to build a competitor to the GT3RS, the top level sports car, but at a fraction of the price. So after going through all of this stuff, I'll show you what we landed on. An E92 M3. This is a deal of a lifetime for current day markets here. If you're wondering why we picked the M3 over everything else, let me tell you. High revving. The S65 is an engine that is incredible to get. What other car for this price point can you get that has individual throttle bodies, revs to nearly 9,000 RPM, and makes all those noises? This is something that we will never see again in a production car. I want to touch on reliability real quick. These engines only have two main problem areas, which I addressed earlier, and both of these have already been taken care of. The previous owner did the throttle actuators and did the rod bearings with receipts, so we know that this engine is pretty much good to go. Lightweight. This car is spec'd with a carbon fiber hood and a 6-speed manual gearbox. It does have the dual hump navigation dash, but honestly, I have some really cool plans for that in the future, and that is a pretty lightweight option to add. I'm not super worried about adding like 3 pounds to the dash. The other criteria was sounds good, and this car actually came with an exhaust. It's not the exhaust we're gonna keep on the car because it's one of the heaviest ones out there, but this thing already sounds incredible as is. It's got a ton of aftermarket, it sounds cool, it is a manual, and it's fairly analog, and I think the modifications we add to it are gonna help with that visceral connection to the car. The AC absolutely rips. The only thing is, because it's so popular, I don't think it's really like a car show stunner, but when you set these cars up properly, these things are beautiful. And it's really hard to deny how absolutely awesome an E92 can look all set up. So this equation here may not make a lot of sense, but let me show you the one that I do know how to do. I paid $27,500 for this car. A little bit more than I wanted to spend, but this car has a lot of instant cash back. Let me show you. It came with an extra set of wheels that I sold for $1,000. The coilovers on the car are Öhlins Road and Track, and the Öhlins Road and Track coilovers are gonna get moved out for something a bit more serious. These don't have camber plates and we need a bit more adjustment, but these are amazing coilovers and I think we could get probably about 2,500 bucks for them. $2,500. This car actually came from the new owner of 1552, but we're gonna be selling these wheels, and I think the wheels with the Michelin tires, probably about 1,200 bucks. If you want them and you're local to Long Beach, California, hit me up, buy them. 1,200 bucks. It also has an Eisenman race exhaust. Great sounding, but heavy exhaust will sell for 1,000 bucks, $1,000. Cute little carbon fiber wing, but we don't need it. Probably like 250 bucks. So minus 59.50, $21,550. That is incredible for a non-clapped out E92 M3. And when I say non-clapped out, let me show you this car. It has an OEM Euro bumper, so it shaved the side marker. The previous owner bought brand new OEM headlights, so they're not crusty and they look really nice. It's got black grills. He put all new trim on the windows and stuff, so these get really dry rotted and look crappy. All that's replaced. Inside, it has a SSK short shifter, an M Performance steering wheel, and the headliners on these cars do sometimes sag. So this is all done in Alcantara suede. And beyond that, it's a 100% original paint car, and it has some choice upgrades on it. So this was like a diamond in the rough. I can't believe I found this car in the iconic Alpine white on red interior with a 6-speed and a carbon fiber roof. This car is a gem. So my brain only works like this because instead of seeing that we paid $27,500 for this car, we really paid $21,550, which leaves us with $28,450 for modifications. So on the next episode in this series, we're going to completely modify this thing and transform it. After that, we're gonna put it head to head with the GT3RS in a variety of different challenges. So I'm super excited for this. I can't wait to bring you guys along on the journey. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and check back next week. I'll see you there. Wait, what?
You want the number to be bigger when the right values are bigger, right? So reliability being higher would hurt your fun value.
It should have been fun equals AC and then everything else.
Have you ever done math in your life?